It's a gut feel. You understand your cash ins and your cash outs. Here's the thing. You understand them in your language. Let me remind you that you are the business owner, and anybody giving you information about the business, like a bookkeeper or an accountant, is actually a service provider to you. So if your numbers aren't making sense to you, if the reports you're getting from your bookkeeper and your accountant aren't making sense to you, you don't have to change. They need to change. And what are the 3 things you can do about that? Okay, here they are. If your numbers that you see each month about your business make no sense. Hey, y'all, and welcome to the Cash Flow Podcast, where we're going to talk about everything related to the money in your small business. I'm your host, Pam, and without further ado, we're going to jump right into our episode. Hey, it's Pam Pryor coming to you live from FinCon for one of our 3 Things to Do episodes for you as an entrepreneur from Cash Flow. We're all in business for cash flow, and we're here to talk all about that and how you can put that cash to the best use for you. So here's one for you. 3 things to do if the numbers you see about your business make no sense to you. Here's the thing. As business owners, we got a pretty darn good gut feel about how things are going in our business. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story. Very early on, I had a client. This was an 8-figure client. And they were like, oh my God, Pam, my books are a disaster. I have no idea what's going on in my business. I need you to put everything in place and get it all cleaned up and get us a forecast and all that. And I said, sure, but I don't know that I really think you don't know what's going on in your business, but sure, we'll get everything set up so that it's, kind of accounting perfect for us, for bankers or buyers or anybody who'd want to see it. And then she said, hey, this is what I think we're making about, and I want to do this project. So could you do a forecast for me? And I think this thing's going to be worth about, $3 million over a 8-year period, or actually it was an 8-month period. I said, okay, sure, we'll do that. So step back away and pause for a little bit while we get everything done. And I came back and I said, holy cow, first of all, the numbers that you gave me for your business were spot on. Second of all, well, you're wrong about the $3 million project. She said, what? How wrong? I said, well, it comes out to $2,990,000. So here's the thing. Even though I can create the spreadsheets and draw the diagrams that come up with everything to support your numbers, as a business owner, you actually already know your numbers pretty darn well. It's a gut feel. You understand your cash ins and your cash outs. Here's the thing. You understand them in your language. Let me remind you that you are the business owner, and anybody giving you information about the business, like a bookkeeper or an accountant, is actually a service provider to you. So if your numbers aren't making sense to you, if the reports you're getting from your bookkeeper and your accountant aren't making sense to you, you don't have to change. They need to change. And what are the 3 things you can do about that? Okay, here they are. If your numbers that you see each month about your business make no sense, here's thing number 1. You get on the phone with your bookkeeper or your accountant or whoever's doing this for you and say, look, here's how I think about my business. Now, all of us as entrepreneurs have a way that we think about our business. For some of us, it's a diagram if we like pictures. For others of us who are auditory, it's a narrative of how you talk about your business. For others, it may be a written SOP or procedure that talks about how your business works. But you have a feel for a few things. You have a feel for your revenue flow. You have a feel for your customer types. You have a feel for how you think about the different products or services that you sell, how you group them together in your own head. You have a feel for what you call your expenses, right? Let them know how you feel about it, the language you use when you talk about it, and how it processes in your brain. Thing number 1, okay? Give your bookkeeper a vision of how you think about your business, okay? Thing number 2. Well, what's thing number 2? It's kind of along the same lines, but as you run your business, you know instinctively the levers that you have. What do I mean by lever, right? So we all have levers in our businesses. They vary, but it's things that we can do to move the needle in our business. It's things that we try that either work and gain us money or don't work and lose us money or hold par. What are some examples of this? So our ad spend, how much we pay our employees, how many employees we have, What's the price of our product or service? Who are we buying things from and how much are we paying? Those sorts of things are all your business levers. Hey, I'm going to ramp up advertising because I know in 2 months I'll see the payoff from that when I have this big launch. That's a business lever. I'm going to cut back on my ad spending because I know that we're going to have some lower revenue here in the next quarter seasonally. These are the things you know and understand as your business levers. So I invite you to walk through your business in your head and identify what are your levers. For example, in my business, very simple. How many bookkeepers do I have? What do I pay them? How much ad spend do I have? How many shows am I going to attend? How many speeches am I going to do? These are all things that affect what we get in revenue and profit in our business. So sit down, just make a list of what those levers are for you, and then explain them to your bookkeeper. Okay. Here's thing three. Thing three is you now want to tell your bookkeeper, you now understand how I think. You know what we have to have in place for bookkeeping. Translate the reports into my language. And any bookkeeper worth their salt, any accountant worth their salt, can take what you've told them and explained and send you back a report that tells that story, right? And it tells you two things. Are my levers working? If I pulled a lever, did it do what I think it was going to do, or did it not? And the other thing it's going to tell you is how are things going from month to month and year to year? That's what I call context. So in this third thing, when we expect this now of the bookkeeper to give it back to us in a way that makes sense to us, we're going to tell them to give it back to us in context. And there are two contexts. I want them to always send you nothing less than a 12-month trailing profit and loss statement. What do I mean by that? I mean one piece of paper with 12 columns on it showing your revenue and your expenses every single month over at least 12 months. That way you've got the context of time. You can see trends. You can see, oh, I spent advertising in that month. My sales went up in this month. I fired somebody in that month. And all of a sudden, even though my expenses went down, my revenue dropped too. You can now see over time the story of your business told in the way that you've provided it to the bookkeeper in thing number one and thing number two. Okay. The second context I want is I want you to see your performance versus your expectations. So start to tell your bookkeeper, hey, I've moved these levers and I think that this month these are going to be my numbers. That becomes your budget or your forecast. And you can carry that out forward as many months as you want to. You can carry it out 3 months. You can carry it out 12. I tell my clients to carry it out 12 months. Here's what I think is going to happen for the next 12 months if I pull these levers when I think I'm going to pull them. And then each month, have that bookkeeper go ahead and tell you, hey, here's what actually happened. Here's what you thought was going to happen. And look at the difference between the two. That's going to tell you if your levers are working. Okay. So let's circle back from the beginning and go to the three things. Thing number one, your bookkeeper or your accountant needs to understand how you think about that business. Tell them in your language, in your picture, in your narrative, in your brain dump, how you think about that business. Number two, tell them what your business levers are. Make sure you understand that. A lot of times when I do this exercise there with and brainstorm with business owners who are clients, we'll find out that they really haven't even considered all the levers they have in their business. But what are the levers to move the needle for you? Make sure your bookkeeper understands those. Thing number three, make sure your bookkeeper now gives you your reports every month in two contexts. One is 12 months in a row, so you can see on one page how each line of your profit and loss statement is doing, each type of revenue, each type of expense, and make sure that those expenses are classified based on how you've explained your business. If you think of something as miscellaneous shit, it should be miscellaneous shit on your P&L. If you think of something as software as opposed to SaaS or hosted services, it should be software on that report. Make sure it's using your language. And the third thing, and then finally look at it versus expectations as well. What did I think was going to happen when I pulled these levers? What actually happened when I pulled these levers? And your bookkeeper should be providing you reports that make that totally clear to you In short, any financial report you look at, if it's not in your language telling you the story of what just happened in your business, then it's of no use to you. So make sure you get this stuff back from them. Tell them your story. Make sure they know how you think about your business and make sure everything's being delivered back to you in a way that makes sense to you. So this is Pam again saying goodbye from FinCon, and I'll see you next week. Take care. I hope that video was helpful, and I hope you subscribe to my channel for more information on finances in your business.